Hello and welcome to another edition of the TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week with me, Craig Barton. Now, angles. I flipping love angles. But I tend to find, I don't know if this is the same with you, but some of my students struggle on those kind of multi-step, multi-mark angle questions. The kind where it's not just a single angle fact that gets you to the answer, but there's quite a few steps in the process, and especially when students are required to give their reasons to justify each step, which is often the way in GCSE. And the kind of good thing but also bad thing about angles questions is there's often more than one way to arrive at the answer. And if students kind of have a set route in their mind that they, for example, they only recognise alternate angles, so they're always flipping looking for an alternate angle and they're going to use it, often that way isn't the most efficient way to arrive at an answer. And if students can build up this bank of flexible methods that they can use, if they know all their angle methods, if they know them fluently, if they can pick and choose the most appropriate one, it's just going to arm them with a far better chance of succeeding at these questions. So, to cut a long story short here, I'm always on the lookout for resources that can help students develop these skills, help them discuss in a positive way, compare different methods and so on. So you can only imagine my delight when I came across this flipping beauty by Jo Morgan herself, Angles in Parallel Lines Comparing Methods. Now it's a really simple resource, but those of you who've been watching these resources of the week for the last few years will know that I'm a massive fan of simple. Simple is the best. So it consists of the resource. Sorry, my computer's been a bit temperamental here. It consists of a Word document and a PDF. They're both exactly the same. So I'll crack open the PDF doc here. And it looks like this. So you get a single sheet, which you can give out to your students. And then there's an answer sheet that I'll show you in a second. And the idea is really, really simple. If we take this first question here, the idea is you give that to your students and you let them have a go individually. Now, I'm a little bit obsessed with this at the moment. I call it the moment of silent contemplation. I think it's so important. In the past, I've made the mistake of giving kids an activity and saying, all right, discuss it with your partner, all that kind of stuff. And often you get one member of the partnership dominating and so on. I think it's really important that each child, for however long you deem suitable, gets that moment of silent contemplation. So have a look at it, have a go at it themselves, no noise, no distractions, no communicating, no support even, just have a go themselves. So what I would tend to do is I would choose one of these first, either project it on the board or just give it out as a worksheet or something like that, and say to the kids, right, on your own, I want you to see if you can work out the size of each of these angles and justify each of your steps. Now, what Joe's kindly done here, I think this is a lovely idea, is we've got a kind of a grid here so students can put down the size of angle A and then put a tick by the different angle facts that they've used to get the particular answer. So the idea is you give the students this first one first, you give them this moment of silent contemplation. It may be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you deem suitable for your class, and it'll differ with different classes. And then it's a case of bringing the partner in, if they're working in 2s or 3s or whatever, and comparing methods. First thing to check, did you get the same angle size? Let's get that sorted first. So do you agree that A is whatever it is in this case, 115? I hope that's flipping right. Did you get angle A as that? How did you get it as that? Did you tick the same things in that grid? Or did you do it a different way? And then we get the discussion. Firstly, if you've ticked it a different way, have we actually done it a different way, or do we disagree the names of the angle facts? Because it could all be kicking off with that, because that often happens, right? Kids have done it the same way, but they've just called it a different thing. They've muddled up alternate and corresponding and so on. Or have you actually done it a different way? How have you done it? How have I done it? Which way do we prefer? And that's when we start thinking about the most efficient ways of doing things. And then I would bring it to a class discussion. How many different ways have we got of doing these angle facts around the room? Which way do we like best and so on? Now, my personal advice would be to do all of that with one of these questions first. I tend to find if you give students an activity that they're unfamiliar with, and this idea of kind of silent contemplation, then doing it as a pair, discussing different methods then, and so on. If you give them too much to handle at once, too many different questions, it can all kind of go off the rails a little bit. So let's get it all sorted with one question. Let's get them into the routine. Let's get our expectations across for how this activity runs. And then let's give them the other 3 ones to do on their own. And basically, it's just a wonderful activity for, well, two things actually. If you've taught the topic of angles in parallel lines, it's a great way to end that topic. It's a brilliant way to bring all those different skills together. But it's also really good, if you want to revise it, it's a great way to take advantage of the spacing effect. So if you haven't done angles for 2 months, 3 months, even a year, chuck this activity into the mix. It'll refresh all, look at all the angle facts that are being covered here, being revised here. It's a great way to consolidate understanding and refresh and remind students of doing it. So I thought it was just really nice. And of course, this can be used for circle theorems, angles in triangles, anything like that, and maybe even any other topic, something like rearranging formula, where students have to do things, students can do things in different ways. So silent contemplation, discuss it as a pair. Did we get the same answer? How did we do it? Have we actually done it differently, or are we just calling it different things? Which way do we prefer? Then let's have a whole class discussion. Ooh, what an activity. I think it's absolutely brilliant, this. So if you've used it, hop back onto the TES page, share your review, share your comments. Thank Joe, and I shall be back with a fresh resource of the week next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.